McAfee World.
Next, we're going to talk about a device which is called a cyclotron, and it is used to get a charged particle at a. It is used to control the charged particle, and we can get a desired speed for the charged particle. So this device is called cyclotron. The arrangement is quite simple. So we have so there are two semicircular shaped regions. Those regions are called Ds, of course, because of their shape. The Ds have magnetic field, and the magnetic field is, let us say, into the plane and uniform. So the magnetic field is inside, and in this region there is electric field. In this region there is electric field. So between the Ds there is a region of electric field. So what we have here, let us say some charged particles are released here. So if charged particles are released here, the electric field is, let us say, in this direction. When the charged particles are released, what will happen? They will gain some velocity in the electric field. When they start gaining velocity, and they will enter this region. They will enter this region. If they do not enter this region, they get just hit the balls of this D. So this D is like a slab, an empty shell. If electric field is not along this direction, if the charged particle is not along this direction, it will just hit the balls of the D, and it will be lost. So we get a velocity which is like this, and after it gains some velocity, it will go inside the magnetic field Wheeler region, and its path will be semicircular, V cross V. So let us say it starts from here, V cross V, yeah. So it goes on like this, and then again in the electric field, now after some time what happens? The direction of electric field is changed, and that is done by an external device which is called oscillator. So oscillator can change the direction of electric field very quickly. Just as charge particle emerges from here, direction of electric field is reversed. So charge particle now accelerates. Once it accelerates, again velocity is increased. So we know that the radius of a charged particle increases with the velocity. So after gaining velocity, its radius will increase. Then again the direction of electric field is reversed. Then again it goes on with an increased radius. Then again electric field is reversed. So here it keeps on increasing its speed in multiple cycles. In multiple cycles, it is increasing its speed. So its speed is increasing, and at the end, we get the desired amount of speed, which can be used for various purposes. For the study of charged particles, mostly it is used, a cyclotron. And finally, we can release this charged particle from this section. With the desired speed. Speed. So this is the principle of a cyclotron. This is the construction of a cyclotron. And first thing that we use here is that the radius is mv by qb. So as you increase the speed is only increased due to the electric field. As you increase the speed, the radius also increases. And time period, the time taken for one half of the cycle, time taken for half revolution, that does not changes. For half revolution, that will be pi r divided by the speed. Pi r divided by the speed. So r by v is m by qb. From here you can see the time taken inside does not change. This remains constant even if speed is increasing. Even if speed is increasing. So this makes us easier for this oscillator to work. And so we have the frequency of the oscillator can be determined beforehand. Frequency of oscillator that will be equal to 1 by 2 times the time period, because half time it spends here, half time it spends here. So frequency is 1 by 2t, that will be qb by 2 pi m. This is the frequency of the oscillator. So when oscillator frequency matches with the frequency of the particle, we call it the condition of resonance. So at resonance condition, frequency of oscillator, this equals the frequency of the particle, which was equal to qb by 2 pi. At this frequency, the charged particle will spend half of the time in here, half of the time in the first peak, and half of the time in the second peak. So time of half revolution does not changes here. It remains the same. Note this down if any questions to ask. The purpose of oscillator is to filter out the speed. We can get charged particle with speeds, different speeds for different ions according to our requirement of the experiment.
But why is velocity increasing?
Because in this small region there is electric field. तो जैसे इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड वाले रीजन में आता है तो वेलोसिटी बढ़ जाती है, फिर इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड वाला रीजन क्रॉस करने के बाद मैग्नेटिक फील्ड वाले रीजन में आता है, तो वहां पे फिर रेडियस बढ़ जाता है कि वेलोसिटी बढ़ गई है। फिर से थोड़ी देर बाद यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड वाले रीजन में आए तो फिर से वेलोसिटी इंक्रीज होगी, स्पीड इंक्रीज होगी। ओके,
Yes, sir.
So between 2Ds there is a small region where there is electric field and the velocity is increasing because of that electric field. So we learned here that a charged particle, if it is moving in a magnetic field, it will experience a force. In the previous chapter, we also learned that in a wire, the charged particles are moving, and we can assume that the charged particle actually में तो बहुत ही random move करता है, but we can assume that the charged particles are moving in a single direction, and we can modify this formula. Since let us say F is equal to QV cross P is the formula, and किसी कंडक्टर में let us say length L में charged particle is going from point A to point B with speed V. And in time t. The time taken is L by V. And let us say current flow हो रहा है I is equal to Q upon T. So हम Q को लिख सकते हैं I into T. Q will be I into T. अच्छा, this is not an exact derivation. So force vector is QV cross V. So F can be written as Q VB sin theta. So Q को लिख सकते हैं I into T. And this will be P sin theta. और V into T को हम लिख सकते हैं L. L will be B into T. So force will be, this quantity are together now. This force will be ILB sine theta. So we can modify our formula for force as like this, I into L cross B. So ये जो formula है, this gives us, derivation is not important. I'm just showing you कि चार्ज पार्टिकल के फोर्स से हम एक करंट कैरिंग कंडक्टर पे फोर्स निकाल सकते हैं. So this formula gives you the force on a current carrying wire. Force on a current carrying wire in a magnetic field. Force on a current carrying wire in a magnetic field. तो current carrying wire में भी charges move कर रहे होते हैं, and due to that there will be a force. So force on a current carrying wire in a magnetic field is given by this formula. अगर किसी small region में force निकालना है, means wire curved है अगर, so if your magnetic field is, let us say, into the plane and the wire is curved like this, magnetic field is like this. So what I can take, I can write a small element, call it dl vector, और dl vector पे जो force लग रहा होगा, that will be df vector. So df vector को लिख सकते हैं I into dl cross b. ये ज्यादा accurate formula है. मैग्नेटिक फील्ड यूनिफॉर्म में लिया है हमने. किसी भी पॉइंट पे मैग्नेटिक फील्ड b वेक्टर है अगर, तो dl एलिमेंट पे जो फोर्स लगेगा दैट विल बी परपेंडिकुलर टू इट. सो dl क्रॉस b, अगेन ये हमारा a वेक्टर हो गया, ये b वेक्टर हो गया, और फिंगर्स कर्ल करके हम c वेक्टर का डायरेक्शन निकाल सकते हैं. तो जब भी कोई करंट कैरिंग वायर अगर कोई भी करंट कैरिंग वायर अगर मैग्नेटिक फील्ड में रखा है तो उससे फोर्स लगेगा, एंड दैट फोर्स विल बी कैलकुलेटेड बाय दिस फॉर्मूला. सो नोट दिस डाउन and we'll do some questions on different shapes of wire. Let us do some questions based on this. Current carrying wire को magnetic field में रखा गया है and we want to calculate the force. Also calculate the direction. So this wire is like this, current is I, length of the wire is L, and magnetic field is B into the plane. In the second case, magnetic field is out of the plane. Straight wire है दोनों केस में, and दोनों का length L है. Can you tell me the value of the force and also the direction of the force? So in the first case, force will be, the value will be ILB, but direction क्या होगा, left, right, or up, down? Rishit, can you tell me the direction of the force in the first case?
Downwards.
L cross B. See, it is L cross B. Means first vector is your L vector along the direction of current. So पहला वाला vector is this side, and second vector is into the plane. So you'll curl your fingers like this into the plane. Your thumb will point in this direction. You got how we solved this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Apurav, tell me the direction of force in this second case.
Right.
Right is correct. Very good. वैल्यू तो पता है ILB होना है और कुछ नहीं आ सकता. Nupur, tell me the value of the direction of force in the third case. Up, down, right, left. Which one? Did you say up?
Yes.
Yeah. The upward direction is the right direction of force. Value will be ILB. Mehul, what will be direction for this one? Fourth case?
So will it be down?
No. The L vector is towards the left and the magnetic field is in the upward direction. So up to upwards. You'll curl your fingers from up to upwards like this. So the force will be upwards. No? Magnetic field here is in the upward direction. So force will be in the upward direction. So from here, when we keep a conductor in a magnetic field, it will experience a force. It will experience a force. And this results in another phenomenon. If we have two wires, straight wires, like this, let us say I'll take case 1, and in the both the current is I1 and here the current is I2. So what will happen? This first conductor, conductor 1, will generate a magnetic field around this conductor. So first conductor की वजह से जो magnetic field generate होगा, that will be into the plane. So due to the first conductor, there will be a magnetic field that will be into the plane. And second conductor is in a magnetic field, so it will experience a force. The direction of the force will be towards the direction of the first conductor. So this force, due to the magnetic field was due to the first conductor, and due to that magnetic field, the second conductor is attracted towards the first conductor. So we can conclude that if two parallel or two current carrying conductors, two parallel current carrying conductors attract each other. Two parallel current carrying conductors attract each other. See, again, if you want to calculate the magnetic field by the second wire in the region of the first wire, you will get the magnetic field in the upward region. Magnetic field in the upward region. And due to this magnetic field, the force on the first wire due to magnetic field of the second wire will be along the left. Will be along the left, and will prove that the value will be the same. It is again an action reaction pair. Value will be the same. So let us first calculate magnetic field due to the first conductor in this region. Let us say दोनों के बीच का distance is r, and they are long wires. They both are long wires. So magnetic field due to the first conductor, that will be mu naught I by 2 pi r. And force on the second conductor, that will be F2. Let us call this F2, force on the second conductor due to the first conductor. This will be I2 I2 into length of this conductor. Let me call this as L2 cross B1. Let me call the length of the second conductor as L2. Although दोनों ही infinite है, let me call it L2. So this is the force vector. If I want to write only the magnitude, that will be I2 L2 B2. That will be this here is I1. So I2 L2 into B2 I can no B1. I can put the value of B1 from here. So B1 will be mu naught I1 by 2 pi R. So force on the second conductor due to the first conductor, that will be mu naught I1 I2 L2 whole divided by 2 pi R. So we define a term called force per unit length because conductor का length बहुत लंबा है. So we write force per unit length. Force per unit length, that will be mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi R. So in the same way, I can calculate the value of force due to the first conductor due to the second conductor. So in that case, I'll calculate magnetic field due to the second conductor. That will be mu naught. यहाँ पे current है I2. So mu naught I2 by 2 pi R. So force on the first conductor due to the second conductor. That will be I1. The case for current I1 है. Length, let us call it L1. And magnetic field will be due to the second conductor. So L1 cross P2. So F12 will be I1 L1 B2. If I put the value of B2 from here, I'll get F12 is equal to I1 L1 B2 is mu naught I2 by 2 pi R. So force per unit length, that will be, this is force per unit length of wire. F12 by L1, that will be again mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi R. Unit will be, of course, Newton per meter. Newton per meter. So two wires, if they are in parallel direction, they will attract each other. Two wires, if they contain the current in the parallel direction, they will attract each other. And you can also take the second case. In the second case, let us say the two wires carry current in anti-parallel direction. So first wire has current I1 in the upward direction, and the second wire has current I2 in this downward direction. So magnetic force on this one, this wire will be force on 2 due to 1. This will be away from the 1. L is downward, magnetic field is inside, so force is repelling. And similarly, if we calculate the force on this one, the magnetic field will be downward only. So if we calculate the force, the value of the force on wire 1 due to 2, it will be away from each other. So we can write two anti-parallel current carrying conductors will repel each other. Two anti-parallel current carrying conductors repel each other. And the amount of force per unit length, that remains the same. Conducting force carrying conductors, they repel each other. So F12 force on 1 due to 2 by length of 1, that is equal to force on 2 due to 1 by length of 2. The magnitude of the force is mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi r, where r is the distance between the parallel wires or anti-parallel wires. Let us note this down. Make sure you're not, while noting down, you're not just copying, you're also understanding each and every step. Okay, so to conclude, we can write that if the direction of current in two parallel wires are the same, the wires attract each other. And if the direction is opposite, the wires repel each other. And from here, we are getting a standard definition of the current. We're getting a standard definition of the current. So if suppose I want to define the current, I can write a quite simple definition. So I can write I square from here. That will be 2 pi by mu naught R into F by L. Or we can write if I is equal to 1 ampere, R is equal to 1 meter, then force per unit length, that will be equal to mu naught by 2 pi Newton per meter. That will be 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter. From here, we get a new definition of the ampere. We can write that 1 ampere is the current. So this is the definition of ampere. So if two long parallel wires, if the distance between them is 1 meter and the force of attraction between them is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 per meter, that is force per unit length per meter, Newton per meter, then each of them will have a current of 1 ampere. Each of them will have a current of 1 ampere. So 1 ampere is the current which, when flowing in each of the two infinitely long parallel conductors, 1 meter apart in vacuum, produces between them a force of exactly this much Newton per meter of length. And this is the definition of an ampere. And due to attraction of wires, what happens is that if you have a wire in which the current is parallel, so they tend to bend towards, if the wire is flexible, then they tend to bend towards each other. And in the other case, if the wire is If the current is anti-parallel, then they tend to repel each other. Okay, note this down. Today we'll keep the class up to here. In the next class, we'll be discussing about the galvanometer and also the magnetism around the Earth's surface.